Let's do a load of laundry together. Feel free to follow along doing your own load with me if you want to. Either way, by the end of this video, you know this aspect of adulting. So step one is to gather what we need to do a load of laundry. So I think, in my opinion, there's only two things that are like absolutely necessary for doing laundry. One is to have your dirty clothes, obviously, and to have them in a bag or basket, whatever is convenient for you to carry. And you're tossing your dirty clothes in this during the week, and you can carry it to wherever the washer or the dryer is when you're ready to do laundry. Number two that I think is necessary is detergent. This is gonna go in the washer. Detergent can be a liquid, it can be a powder, it can be one of these little astronaut space balls from the future that I like for some reason, but you do need detergent in my maybe not so humble opinion. And then there's a few things that are optional. So one thing I consider optional is fabric softener sheets. So says the marketing that it helps with softness, and it does help your laundry to smell better. So these would go, you'd put one in the dryer when we get to that point. And so those are fabric softener sheets, those are optional. Another thing that's optional is to pre-treat your clothing if it has any nasty stains on it. So if you have like a shirt and you spilled coffee on it, you might want to pre-treat that a little bit before it goes in the washer. I'm at a family member's house right now, I'm not in my home. So I found this. I think it's a sort of toxic slime from the 60s. I don't know that I would recommend this brand in particular. Not knocking it, haven't tried it, but at home I use one that's kind of like a spray, and I pre-treat my clothes if there's like a particular stain before that clothing item goes in the washer. Another thing that's optional as well is if you have a washer or dryer that's going to require coins to turn it on, so it's coin operated, you want to know that ahead of time, get those coins ahead of time. Just get a bunch of them so you have them on hand. So, if it's quarters, for example, have a little tin or a little bag where you keep a collection of quarters that you always have on hand so that you don't have to go and scramble for them when you need to do a load of laundry. And another thing I thought of that would be optional is if your washer dryer requires you to swipe a card. Some of them do on campuses, I know. So maybe have your card on a lanyard that you just keep close to your laundry somewhere. It doesn't have to say National Soccer Hall of Fame, but if it does, that would be extra credit. So you also want to have that on hand to do your laundry. Step two is to sort and prepare our laundry. There are complicated ways of doing this. There are simpler ways of doing this. I'm just going to teach you the simplest way that I can see, because this is a beginner's guide, so it's just gonna be what's absolutely necessary. And I would recommend that you would put bedding and towels in one pile, clothing in another pile. So at home, I actually have a second bag like this in a different color where I put bedding and towels. This bag only has my clothes. So it's not a deal breaker if you wash them together. Nothing bad is gonna happen. It's just that the bedding and the towels are heavier, they're gonna need more drying time, so it makes sense to separate those out, wash them separately. So now let's focus on the clothing pile. If you have any nasty stains on your clothes, read the instructions on your stain remover to pre-treat those while you load the rest of the clothes. And as I said, I'm at a family member's house who has this particular toxic slime from the 60s. I think it spawned a superhero. So I'm not gonna use this one, I'm gonna set it aside, but as an example, that's what you would use to pre-treat some stains, maybe put them, put those clothes over here, pre-treat those while you're gonna load the other clothes in the washer. If this is the first time you're doing your own laundry, you need to look at labels and get familiar with what can go in the washer and what can't. You're not gonna have to do this every time because eventually you'll just be able to look at everything and know what goes in the washer and what doesn't. So you're gonna look at the tag on each clothing item. And I'll use this as an excuse to rep the Second City here. Shout out Second City. But I'm gonna look at the tag and see how this item needs to be washed. If you have clothing that says something like hand wash only or dry clean only, you're gonna put that in a separate pile. So let's say, for example, if this said, dry clean only on the tag, I'm gonna put that over here and I know that that's my dry clean pile. Let's say if this said hand wash only, I'm gonna put that in a separate pile. and that means I need to hand wash it. So again, dry clean means it needs to go to the dry cleaner. Hand wash means that you need to gently wash it by hand in your sink or bathtub with a little bit of detergent. If you get a new clothing item that's really dark colored, I don't think I have an example in here, but if you get a new clothing item that's really dark colored like jeans and there's a tag or sticker saying it needs to be washed by its lonesome the first time it's washed, put that in a separate pile. You need to wash it by itself as its own load, not with your other clothes. Okay, so once you separate out things that need to be dry cleaned, things that need to be hand washed, things that needed to be washed on their own, most of your laundry can go in the washer together as one load. Now, again, there are more complicated ways of doing this, like separating by colors or by fabrics, but I'm just trying to show you the simplest route here. Step 3 is to start loading the washer. You can see there are a lot of different settings here, and like I said, I'm at a family member's house. I've literally never used this machine before, so you're watching me kind of problem solve this in real time. And what I usually do, because I know I have a lot of clothes that I'm washing, you can select the size of the load, anywhere from extra small, maybe just a few items of clothing, small, you know, a couple more than that. Medium might be half of the washer. I'm gonna select large. Extra large might be, you know, all the way to the top, but you don't wanna fill it too high. You don't wanna stuff your washer. Then you select the temperature. And I don't want to cause a major internet conflagration here, but the simplest way that I see to do a load of laundry is cold and delicate. And the reason I say that is because a lot of my clothes need cold, delicate wash. Some of my clothes don't, but they can all handle cold and delicate. So again, I don't mean to start major internet controversy of 2024, but I'm gonna select cold. And then here on our janky washer, this knob is broken, but you probably have a knob here. And you wanna turn the knob until something like a dial or a red line is on the setting that you want. So I know this looks complicated. The 3 main settings that I see on this washer are regular, permanent press, and knits gentle, which is kind of like delicate. So I moved this so that it's on the knits gentle, like delicate, on kind of like the 8. 8 would be like more time, 6 would be a little less time. But you can see that, you know, if you decide to use other options, the numbers are going to tell you the time for those. I can also see here that it's telling me pull to start, push to stop, which means that when I'm ready to start the water, I'm going to pull this up. If I want to stop the washer, I'm going to push this down. Ordinarily, that would be a knob like this, but again, we're doing our best with my family member's washing machine. Now that I've chosen my settings, what I like to do is actually start the water and put the detergent in before the clothes. I don't like pouring detergent onto my clothes in case that might stain or somehow discolor them. As the water's running, I'm gonna start putting my clothes in. This is a very exciting moment because this is a real authentic load of my human clothing. Content warning. All undergarments have been removed from this load. Number 1, to preserve what little dignity I have remaining, and 2, to protect the virgin eyes of the good people of the internet. As I'm loading the washer, I'm doing a few things. I'm tying strings on my hoodies and pants so that those strings don't get lost in the wash or stuck inside the clothing. I'm also going to check pockets to remove things like Kleenex, sticks of gum, and winning lottery tickets. I'm loading the washer so that clothes are loosely hanging out in there, having a party, but they're not overly crowded. Once the washer is almost full, I'm closing the door on the party. Set a timer for how long you think it might take for your washer to run. You'll learn this after doing one load since you'll see how long it will take. I think mine takes about 30 minutes, so I'm setting my timer for 30 minutes. Step 4 is very important. While our wash cycle is running, we need to relax in our hammock for the duration of that time. So step 5 happens once our wash cycle is done. So my timer went off, I came back to the washing machine, it's not making any noise, so it shut itself off and I know it's done. If it's still making noise, that means you need to let it go. It will shut itself off once it's done. Now we're gonna take the clothes from the washer, transfer them into the dryer. But before we do that, if you learn nothing else from this video, please learn this. You need to clean the lint trap. So on this dryer, there's a little flap here. And then pull out this thing. This is the lint trap. It might be somewhere else on your dryer. Sometimes it's like down inside the dryer, right here. but you need to clean this, please, 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 because if you don't clean the lint off of this, it can actually be a fire hazard and we don't want that. So this one is pretty clean already, but sometimes you'll take it out and there will be like a layer of this like white cloudy stuff. You need to take that off, clean off that whole layer, toss it in the trash, and then put this back in. So it should look about as clean as mine looks when you put it back in. And now we're gonna take the clothes out of the washer and transfer them to the dryer. Let's go. Now we're gonna take the wet clothes and transfer most of them into the dryer. There are gonna be a few exceptions here. Any clothes that say something like lay flat to dry or line dry should not go in the dryer. Lay flat means we're gonna lay them somewhere flat, like a counter or over a chair for them to dry. Line dry means they need to be hanging up as they dry, like on a hanger, for example. I had mentioned before that a dryer sheet is optional, but if you have one, toss it in here with the clothes. Once we put the clothes in the dryer that can go in the dryer, we close the door and choose our settings. Now, there's multiple dryer settings for multiple purposes and every machine is going to be different. Again, I'm not trying to stir up a major internet conflagration here, but the simplest way that I do laundry is to wash everything on tumble dry low. So let's take a look at these settings. It looks like on this washer, this knob is going to be the type of cycle that we're doing. So you can see fluff air, timed drying, automatic regular, automatic permanent press. You can see over here, this is temperature. Extra low, knits, gentle cycle low, medium low, permanent press, heavy high. So temperature, and then when we select those two, we're gonna then push this button to start. So I think I'm gonna do about an hour because I have a large load. I'm gonna do timed drying, and because I said I'm washing on delicate cycle, I'm gonna pick knits gentle low. I want a low temperature. This knob has a little nubby there. So I'm gonna put it on knits gentle low, and then I'm gonna push start. You also wanna set a timer for however long your dryer might take. You might have to guess at this. I happen to know because this one tells me it'll be 60 minutes. I'll set it for an hour. You might have to experiment with that. You may not know how long your dryer is gonna take. Maybe set it for an hour, come back in an hour, hopefully it's done. If it's not done, just set it for 15 more minutes and come back, and you'll know the dryer's done when it stops making any noise. Step 6 is very important. While our clothes are drying in the dryer, we need to go outside and fly a kite. So step 7 is our last step. Once the dryer turns itself off, like I can feel that it's not running anymore, that means it's done. We check our clothes to see if they're dry. Now, depending on the power of your dryer, what clothes you put in there, and how long it ran, your clothes may or may not be totally dry. So I'm just gonna check. These feel very dry. So I know that it's time to take them out and start folding them. If you feel your clothes and they're a little bit damp, what you wanna do is turn the dryer on again, maybe for an extra 10 minutes or so, depending on how damp they are. Mine feel pretty dry, so I'm gonna start taking them out and folding them and putting them away. Once you have folded your clothes and put them away, you get to enjoy your fresh, clean laundry, and congrats on passing this rite of passage of adulting.